Hello, can y'all? Alright, hold on, I'm gonna test something. Give me a minute, gamers. I was being sorry, gamers. I was being stupid. I couldn't hear the countdown for your playing, so I thought there was something wrong with my laptop speakers. But I forgot I muted the freaking tab wheel. My brain isn't working, sorry. My brain is like so freaking slow, man. But anyway, sorry about that, gamers. Technical difficulties. Ugh. Wait, what's up, gamers? I'm finally back after taking like a month hiatus. I spent my iPad to the kids come I'm not allowed to 25 hype trailer. The reason I took a break was because I got burnt out on doing this stuff with channel after when I do it. I had to tie up that one chapter 3 and 4. Chapters 3 and 4. And I'm still waiting for me able to upload his every time Fox song ever update videos. I don't see that's gonna ever happen at this freaking point. But falling back, so y'all have to stay. Then I think Saturday you also have that fan series stream. So yeah. See, yes, I'm still sick. I have allergies, so yeah. But I'm glad to be back and get sorry about that. Beginning. Yeah. And I just see some service like always at Gamescom. Got what Deadpool for y'all. This is cool. The big thing was called Silk Song because I didn't even know a Silk Song is like that big of a thing. Like, cause I'm not really into that big to song community. That was another because of course here by Huey, who is of course is also in that community. I miss him multiple times on this channel. So yeah, but there have been a lot more uploads since my last stream was obviously my last stream was like 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago at this point. So again, we had the 2 more series and yeah. I think I'm mostly away like read to like all the series. We have this one right here, the 24 minutes, but that's kind of too long. If we do that one, then we have to do like a really slow one. So I might have to solve that one because mystery, which is why Des is missing. The only other one is the other type of proof dance is if I'm on the tail. That was 19 minutes. Yeah, we did those two. Alright. Hold on, guys. Let's go back down to this first one. Alright. This one just came out 2 weeks ago, so it's a really recent one. Let's say for a minute for it to load. Hope you guys have been good and the stream been good for y'all. You're getting close to chapter 5 already. I don't think we can start getting chapter 5 news possibly until November. Because my guess is that chapter 5 is gonna release early 2026, like spring of 2026. Because next month is Undertale's 10th anniversary again. I hope they came out. I don't need that to do something for Undertale 10th anniversary. Like I'm trying to make like like orchestra. But next month is Undertale's 10th anniversary, so I'll be definitely doing a stream on Undertale's 10th anniversary. So I'm gonna look up when that is. But for now, let's see why Death ran away. If you don't know, I guess for the night, who the night is killed. I was reading the previous streams. So yeah. Also, I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I got busy doing stuff for other channels, and yeah. Hey people, let's go.
Deltarune is a game with many mysteries.
Oh dang it! I forgot how to sped up. Alright, here we go for you this time.
Due to the fact that only half of the game's released. But despite all the theories I've seen, I feel like no one is really tackling the biggest mystery of them all. Why is Death's holiday missing? So that's what I said.
For starting this, that's. I wonder if. Yeah, they are. But I was gonna say I'm gonna get my theory on why I think Death ran away. So I think maybe Death ran away. I got tell for his sister or something. But I don't know. I wouldn't even say back to his sister, man. Well, actually, it could be the same going of like ask her. Maybe that's it. I want to hear it theory though, because I think I might have an idea.
I can't believe I'm able to say this. We've managed to pass 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the recent support on the channel, and I hope I can keep making videos for you all. Also, quick side note from Editor Lime Crow.
Also, to us, I want if this, yeah, to us, should be coming back hopefully next week. Hopefully, with a new Deltarune video, Easter eggs video, or something related to that one to us channel. So, especially, we have to feel a new Easter to tell us hopefully next week on your main channel. I'm asking for a cool guy. So yeah.
But we recently just unlocked channel memberships and super for the channel. Memberships are $1.99 a month, convert to your local currency, I believe. And come with badges.
I'm gonna skip this, I'm sorry. Actually.
Yeah. So before I go into a deep dive as to why Des is missing, we should look at where Des could be, as there are a few theories as to where she is, and it could help us figure out why she's missing. The most popular theory before Chapter 3 and 4 was released was that Des was trapped in the game's code.
Okay,
for those who don't know, within the...
That's like such a stupid theory, because that makes like no sense, because season can't go, and how is he gonna escape the game's code? I'm trying to have like some Doki Doki Literature Club stuff right now, but... So, because if we're going with Doki Literature Club, going that route, are we gonna have to like literally like add like Des's characters like the files? Yes, if you didn't know, it's Doki Literature Club. That game rematch with the game files with the like the characters like a game. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe we have to literally add like Des's character to the game's like files. Alright, I don't know. I don't think Type 5 would do like Doki Doki Literature Club, but maybe he would. Maybe he would. I don't know.
Code of Deltarune is hidden dialogue of someone speaking. I'll read out the dialogue for each chapter. Here it is for chapter 1.
Where am I? Hello? Anyone? Is anyone out there?
Someone? Anyone? Can you hear me?
It's dark. It's so dark here.
Okay, darker, yeah, darker.
If you can hear me,
I'll be a caster again.
Say something. Please.
And here's the dialogue for chapter 2.
No one can hear me, can they? I guess not.
Mm.
To be honest, I'm not even sure if I can hear myself. It's so quiet here. And yet sometimes, I swear I hear something. Something like scratching?
Translate into Japanese, and it's even
That's quite what I was going to say gave files, but scratching. I'm trying to think of like what killed in Deltarune? Why they like scratching? Of course, it's like cat, because it's a cat, it had claws, but what other character would have claws? Scratching. I don't know. Huh.
using the code, which would be strange if it was scrapped content, but it isn't. And there's even more dialogue in chapter 3 and 4. Here's the one for chapter 3.
What is this place anyway? How did I get here? As if I haven't asked that question a billion times already. I always did have that nightmare.
Nightmare.
Walking into the darkness,
Into the
with the
dark.
light shining from the doorway, and the door slams behind me, and everything goes black.
That's actually.
Is this that nightmare?
That's actually similar. Hold on, let me go back to the think of like the first Darkwood. In chapter 1, the closet with Susie and Chris goes into the closet. So think about that for a minute. Because Susie and Chris goes walk to the closet. So I guess walk into the darkness.
The light shining from the doorway.
But I think there was light shining from the doorway before. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was.
Then the door slams behind me.
The door slams. That's literally the same thing that happened in like the chapter 1 dark rooms, that the closet door slammed behind them.
And everything goes black.
Then everything did go black. Or the first that happened because Susie and Chris walked to the closet. And now there was just light shining. So, but then the door slammed behind them and everything went black. So I think that's probably Travis had for Dark World. But like,
Is this that nightmare? Or was everything
But Caesar said that was a nightmare.
else a dream?
And here's the dialogue for chapter 4.
We see Travis saying that everything is like a dream. Because remember, that's what Noelle thinks. Like, wherever she goes to Dark World, that's what Ciel thinks it is. How she comes out from Dark World. Like, Susie even told her that in chapter 2 that this was just a dream. And then we poked out loud to her that it was a dream. You know, that the top for suicide route. So, I say can I say that that's the Travis High for Dark World. That's what I say.
I'm starting to lose track of time. Has it been days? Hours? If someone told me it's been years, I might believe them. Before the sun came up, and so many wonderful things happened that made time meaningful. Things like breakfast or late night TV.
Interested in how he missed late night TV when chapter 3 was about a TV Dark World. Because Tina, and actually that is the first chapter where we got the freaking War at Night. Wait, hold up. What does that say? Things like breakfast and late night TV. That made me think of more now that Carol is the War at Night. Because he's late night TV. And of course, I can tell Dark World, was a TV Dark World. And that's the first time that we saw the War Night in. So, yeah.
In this place, I don't eat or drink anymore. I can't tell if I'm awake or dreaming. I can't even tell if I'm dead or alive.
It doesn't say this night in a drinker because I've seen multiple times I've gone to Dark World that, Susie, Chris, even Roxy, and even Noelle eat and drink. Because I have to hear them. So interesting.
It's just nothing but pitch black silence. Except for the noise.
What noise?
The scratching noise I sometimes hear.
That again.
This sounds crazy, but even though no one can hear me, when I hear that noise, I feel like someone's listening. Anyone, if you're there, thank you.
This dialogue is really interesting.
Thank you. That's the same saying Noelle said to us after we put the sewing back on hold. It's thank you. Hold up. Because, not going to the tin side about law, I think that we have to put the sewing in the other. Then we started with like Microtron hold. So that's being like Microtron by somebody? No, I don't know. I think that's stress. I think that's stress because it says thank you. That does mean to be a Microtron.
Interesting to me, but it has been pushed aside due to a new theory about where death is coming to life. The release of chapters 3 and 4. Katana in the battle itself, and the fact that she can just conveniently be anywhere the plot needs her to be since she's declared missing in the light world. Although even that has a few holes in it for me. I'm not fully convinced that Des is the Knight, but I'm not ruling it out as completely impossible. Although I do have an explanation as to how Des can be both trapped in the code and be the Knight, but I'll explain that later in the video. So what theory was I trying to solve when I stumbled into solving this other theory instead? Well, it's a theory that I feel a lot of people have abandoned due to believing they've already found a solution or believing that there is nothing to discuss regarding this. This theory was claiming that Susie was not originally intended to be the second hero in the prophecy. The reason this theory became popular was because of how the second hero is depicted in the prophecy.
Yeah, can y'all still hear me? Hold on, I'm supposed to use I don't know how that just happened. My freaking microphone got disconnected. Yeah, but so that does happen again. But let's say is that so if because the only reason Susie got tattoos was because she went to go get talk, I guess, or yeah, because I was wanting her to go get talk, and so. Alphys is the one that messed us all up. Think about that. It was the others that told Susie to go get a talk. It was Alphys. Alphys told Noelle to go get a talk. Wait, I have to go look back. Didn't Noelle say she was going to go get a talk and then like Alphys saying instead for Susie to go get a talk? Because if that's the case, then Noelle probably knew. But why would Alphys mess up the prophecy? I mean, apart from if you didn't know about it, so I think it's most likely that, but because again, the whole reason Susie got, time in Darkwood, like the first Darkwood, like the Dark Castle Darkwood, because Alphys said to go can talk. So basically, they trapped the wrong person. They were supposed to trap both Chris and Noelle, but it trapped the wrong person. It was supposed to trap Noelle instead of Susie. So I don't know why Ross is saying anything about that. And I think that's why Ross was actually fine with Susie leaving. Because remember, Susie was like, where was like the, like, which way I was home and selling those things. And Rossy was like said, yeah, I was fine with that. Because remember, Susie was supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Noelle. I was interested that didn't know does get trapped in the second Dark Ward. But see what's okay, I don't want to say that quickly. I know I wasted a lot of time as I have some podcasts still 19 minutes left of this video.
And how they don't look much like Susie. Partly because it's hard to match the anatomy of the figure to Susie, mostly because they wield a sword, a type of weapon that Susie cannot wield. In contrast, Chris's prophecy, or more accurately, our prophecy of the first hero, the cage with the human soul and parts, is pretty accurate to describe Chris' situation. It could also describe the vessel, but that's a theory for another day. Ralsei is the most clear to be like him. The third hero, the Prince Alone in Deepest Dark, is accurate to its story, and the design is similar to how we first meet Ralsei in Chapter 1. There is also what seems to be fire magic surrounding Ralsei, which does fit into Ralsei's appearance as a goat monster, and the multiple characters who compare Ralsei to Asriel. We know from Susie and Gerson that Dragon Blaze is based off Lord of the Hammer, which is based on the prophecy, and from an optional cutscene in Chapter 2, we know that Fire Shock is a spell in Dragon Blaze. And from Undertale, we see all three goat characters use fire magic in their battles. It's possible that Ralsei can use Fire Shock, and is just refusing to do so due to his want to try changing the prophecy by being kind to others. There's also a bit more evidence as to what role in the prophecy Susie would play if she wasn't the second hero. After beating Gerson in the secret boss battle in Chapter 4, he says that Susie reminds him of a character he used to know from Lord of the Hammer. A character who would only appear in Chapter 1 and play an antagonistic role. Looking at Susie in Chapter 1, that role seems to check out. So
I was about to say, wait! The king, they was defeat the king inside the dragon. So wait, what is saying that Ralsei was the king, but I thought the Chaos King was the king. Wait, what? But that is true.
Antagonistic
I about to say we never forget Susie, but I forgot. So wait. Because he does go against us officially in that chapter. It takes a while, but they would do. So this is what was supposed to happen. But instead of it being, Chris and Ralsei against the hero, Noelle was supposed to be there too. So if Noelle was here, then this would have been perfect to the prophecy.
In Chapter 1, that role seems to check out. So we've established how Chris and Ralsei fit into the prophecy very well, and how Susie is more of a mystery. Some people will point out how we see this symbol describing the girl, which is the same as the symbol of Rude Buster, and is also found in Susie's room in the Dark World. But we see all of these parts of the prophecy in the Second Sanctuary, where everything is out of order. The correct order is the first hero, the cage with human soul and parts. The second hero, girl with her cross on her heart. The third hero, the prince alone in deepest dark. At last was the girl. At last was the girl. But even then, the symbol is also used for most acts in the game, so it's not guaranteed to be referring to Susie, but it still is very likely. So if the hero isn't intended to be Susie, then who is the second hero intended to be? Many people have theorized it to be Noelle. Noelle is a character who can equip some swords, specifically the Black Shard, which is notably unsword-like, but also the Jingle Blade, which is one of her pencils that you steal in the Light World. Interestingly, both of these weapons are inaccessible in Chapter 2, the chapter Noelle is playable in, so players have only discovered this in the code. It also potentially hints at Noelle's return to the party in Chapter 5 and onwards. People have also looked at the prophecy saying that love will find its way to the girl, and have been comparing it to the player pushing their influence onto Noelle in the weird room. However, this theory has been shut down by some. Most players cite this image where you can see all three heroes, with these three heroes looking like Chris, Susie, and Ralsei. But another bit of dialogue has also shot this theory in the foot completely.
What? Susie, there's a few things I still can't say, but from now on, I want to tell you everything I can. So, no any codes to my doors? No, I do not. Then, anything about Noelle? I know which items of ours she can equip. Then again, you're supposed to equip ribbons. Okay, you actually know Jack. Great.
So we can basically rule out that Noelle was supposed to be the second hero. And this is where most people gave up on the theory. But not me. Something here just doesn't sit right with me. You're telling me that the prophecy can predict things to a degree of accuracy that it can come up with an insult Lancer gives to Ralsei, but it can't predict whether Susie likes to wear ribbons or not. No. Something's off here. I spent so long looking through Chapter 3 and 4 to see if there was any information I could use to tie a character to being the second hero. As I looked through the dialogue, I noticed a few things that helped me come up with a theory. Did you ever hear that old tale? Yes, that old tale, based upon the prophecy, Lord of the Hammer.
I think I heard about it. What happens?
You remind me a bit of someone I used to know.
Who?
Just a character from that old story.
Lord of the Hammer, huh? Hell if I'm reading that. Though, wait a second. Isn't that what Dragon Blazers was based on? You know what really made me afraid of basements? Like, the underground levels of Dragon Blazers. The music just repeats over and over again. Oh yeah, that was weird. You played it? Yeah, only 2 as a kid. Got it from the Lost and Found. Even though it wasn't mine.
Susie!
I played at Secret Stars, I won't get in trouble. Oh my gosh, Sam, I played 2 with my dad, but like, there was like this evil route my parents didn't know about. I always played it in secret so they wouldn't take it away. Dude, I think I did that by accident.
You did the evil route by accident?
Yeah, I didn't know you could be nice. So I was just killing everything and getting like pissed. Why the hell is everyone mad? Pretty sure I do it the good way now though. Maybe. Gosh, I'd love to see you play it for real. Well, if you've got another copy, just leave it in the Lost and Found, I guess.
Maybe I will. Hearing this information, my mind went back to a moment in Chapter 2.
It's like when your sister gets cursed in Dragon Blazers 2.
Even
if her stats suck, she's still your party member.
Sister.
Hmm.
Des was meant to be the second hero. Now, I already know that some of you...
What? Okay, what? Okay. I was gonna say that. I was actually scared he was gonna say that. I still think it's Noelle, but...
Maybe scratching your heads and asking, how the hell can this even remotely be possible? I mean,
exactly.
First of all, Des is already said to be around Asriel's age, and probably would be off at university during the events of Deltarune. And I know I'm going to have to pull an alternate chapter 1 for Deltarune with Des out my ass just to even get close to explaining how this could be possible, but please, just stick with me here. I promise this goes somewhere. So I already know the first bit of criticism I'm going to get for this. The second hero doesn't look like Des either. I mean, there's no antlers for a start, but I'm not about to rule this out. First of all, deers shed their antlers annually, and there is a certain type of deer that caught my attention called the roe deer. These deer shed their antlers around November to December, and given the state of the trees in hometown and the fact that Jackenstein seems to be a possible decoration for the festival, it's possible that the story of Deltarune takes place around late October to early November, and by that time, Des could have possibly shed her antlers. So that covers the appearance, but it doesn't cover the sword. Well, I think we can explain that away with Noelle being able to equip swords. It's kind of strange how the prophecy would depict a weapon that isn't likely a primary one, but it's still accurate. I mean, Rouse isn't depicted with a scarf, so I don't really think it matters too much. But there's also the issue as to why Des wouldn't be at university, Asriel, and would instead still be in hometown. And I think if we compare the Dreamer family to the Holiday family, we will get the answer we are looking for. Comparing Rudy and Asgore, I get the feeling from both of them that they're the fun-loving dads who help balance out the whole family dynamic and don't have a lot of thought about their actions. In Asgore's case, there's a moment where Toriel talks about him painting the eggs for Asriel's birthday and then cooking them the following morning, making Asriel cry. And with Rudy, he jokes with Toriel to the point where she ends up throwing fruit juice on him. For Toriel and Carol, I didn't find too many comparisons, but I managed to categorize them both as strict/problematic mothers. Toriel has a lot of issues, with her insistence on wanting to drive a wedge between Asgore and the rest of the family, the way she freaks out when Asriel has his first kiss, and the obvious drinking problem. Carol is her own set of issues. From what we see in Chapter 2, Queen is a sort of amalgamation of all the major mother figures in Deltarune, having a mixture of problematic traits from everyone's mothers. With the way she interacts with Noelle, I get the feeling that Carol pressures Noelle into being what she wants her to be, rather than what Noelle wants herself to be. Also, this next part is mostly speculative, but I have a feeling that Carol may be physically abusive towards Noelle. I felt clued into this by the way she made everyone, even Chris and Asgore, leave the house as she seemed to punish Noelle in the kitchen. And given my theory of Queen representing the major mothers and how Noelle is imprisoned at the end of the chapter, I have an uncomfortable feeling that I might be right on this assumption. Speaking of Noelle, let's compare her with Asriel next, as I feel they both mirror each other. Both of them seem like successful academically, popular with everyone, and nerds who like video games. Noelle seems to love Dragon Blazers and Cat Battles 4, while Azrael seems to love Super Smashing Fighters, which leaves us with Chris and Des. Both of these characters seem to be not as successful as their siblings, at least academically, and they both have a passion for music. They are also both outcasts from the rest of their family. Chris is obvious since we get to see a lot of their life. Chris doesn't have any awards of any kind, and their side of the room seems a lot less cared for than Azrael's side. Chris is clearly an outcast due to the fact that they're human.
Okay,
they're
that makes sense.
Being seen as the weird kid, and they want everyone around them to understand that they're normal. Des seems similar to me. Her room illustrates that she seemingly wants to separate herself from the holiday vibes from the rest of the family and maybe wants to pursue a career in music. From the vibes I get from Des's character, I can see her filling a similar role in Deltarune's story that Susie does from Chapter 2 onwards. While I don't feel she would have done things to just take away choice from the player in certain moments and refusing to equip ribbons, I do feel that she would do things that would encourage Noelle's character arc in Chapter 2. There is also a bit of evidence towards something that I have no idea where to put, so I'm just going to throw it here. The mysterious character in the code seems to be having nightmares about walking into the darkness, with a light in the doorway only for the door to slam and for everything to become dark. Now, this could be Des having traumatic flashbacks to being locked in the code, but what if it's someone showing her what should have happened in her life? I don't know, I just need somewhere to put this bit of information because it seems really important to me, but I just can't make a connection to how it makes any sense.
Closet.
So, to better explain my whole idea.
Sorry.
Some basic ideas of how to play Chapter 1. So, before Chapter Wait.
Alright, we're good? I was causing it to freaking lag. It was doing fine. Come on, laptop. Don't do this to me, please. Come on. I'm just dummy when we see it. There we go. Now we're back.
Music outside of hometown. This decision would have angered Carol a lot since
I'm moving to my bed because y'all
as a result, Des would have either been kicked out or left on her own, and Victoria would have taken her in and let her sleep on the sofa so the place to stay. She would get a job as
Alright. Pack on the torso. Alright. I came back up here. There we go. Now it's be a whole lot better, hopefully. So you can see me and everything. Yep. Alright. We're good. Let's continue.
a cleaner at the school, partly to earn money and contribute, while also being a way to see Noelle without having to deal with Carol. So on to chapter 1, not a single thing before the Dark World be any different. Even though Des is living with Toriel and Chris, she would have left early to start cleaning the school ready for a new day.
Yeah.
And given that she works as a cleaner, it isn't too much of a stretch to explain how Des would end up in the Dark World inside the supply closet. At the point where Chris normally finds Susie, they would instead find Des. Susie would have rushed ahead due to seeing Des moving around and not wanting to be threatened by anyone. The story would progress normally from here, with Susie's role being filled by Des.
Yeah.
Or else they would explain the prophecy and tell Chris and Des that the two of them are the prophesized heroes. Des would be a little suspicious of the idea before Lancer would swoop in, and you get the same boss fight as the normal route, but you have full control of Des, whereas you don't have any control of Susie during this fight. Since I enjoy discussing game design, I'll talk about how I'd imagine Des would function in gameplay. Des would be similar to Susie, having the highest HP and the strongest attack. She would have two different attacks to start out with. Ice Buster, which would mirror Susie's Rude Buster, and then I imagine she'd have some sort of status attack that has the music element. She would use axes while being able to equip a small selection of swords, but she would absolutely be unable to equip any rings. After the Lancer boss, Des would be skeptical of Rouse, but would be willing to trust him as she mainly wants to get out of this dark world. The story would progress as normal with all three heroes from the start to the end.
Yeah.
You'd encounter Lancer across most of the field of hopes and dreams, and you could only run into Susie during optional moments such as when she's blocked by the door puzzle. At the checkers board, Susie would finally catch up to Lancer and begin trying to pulverize him. The objective of the Scarlet Forest would be to track down Susie and get her to stop terrorizing Lancer and the other Darkness, resulting in a battle against Susie, where Susie eventually apologizes to Lancer. The Darkness in the castle would have heard reports that Lancer was being attacked by a Lightner and capture Susie along with the three heroes. Susie would be kept in a separate cage, similar to the original game, and would find that Lancer is actually trying to free the Lightner since everything was cleared up. Susie helps Lancer, and they come up with a plan where Susie will go and try and talk to King to explain what happened, and the fun gang will be there in case anything goes wrong. Obviously, things go wrong, Susie is defeated, and the fun gang have to fight King. They win and seal the fountain, and Chris, Susie, and Des are now in the spare classroom. Both Chris and Des know that what just happened wasn't a dream, but they choose to convince Susie that it was, something that she believes. Susie is now a lot more chill with Chris and Des, but isn't really a major character in the game's story going forward. From here onwards, Des fills the role of the second hero, and the story continues as you would expect for the most part. This revised version isn't perfect, so if I get enough comments asking me questions to how certain things change, I'll make a video discussing what other changes I'd seen as well when Des takes the role of the second hero. So how does this all connect back to why Des is missing? Well, I believe that Des has been taken by someone. Who that someone is, I'll keep a secret until later.
Of course.
I have two theories regarding how Des' disappearance is being used by someone for their sick and twisted desires. One theory would be true if Des was the knight, and the other would be true if Des wasn't the knight. Let's start with the one where Des is the knight. If Des is the knight, I firmly believe that the knight is not the mastermind behind the entire plan. I believe that the true mastermind has used shadow crystals to create the knight, using Des as a base for the body. This mastermind has used the Roaring Knight to manipulate Lightners and cause darkness to become completely chaotic. Jevil and Spampton was shown how nothing matters in life and went insane because of it. And three other characters have been lured in with promises that they'll get what they want after all of this is over. Asgore would be reunited with Toriel after the truth of the incident that led to their divorce comes to light. Carol would be reunited with Des, and Chris would become a monster. Of course, I don't believe this mastermind would have any intention of fulfilling these promises. They just want to watch these people do anything they can to get what they want, only to crush it at the last second. But this theory just doesn't completely work for me.
I don't know.
Because I don't believe that Des is the knight. Nor does it solve what I truly believe to be Deltarune's biggest mystery.
Hey, it says again. Guess there was a backup.
Even if it's broken, it always appears somewhere else. The prophecy can't be changed after all. The prophecy can't be changed?
Huh?
This is why Des is missing. She's been captured and imprisoned as part of an experiment. Will a prophecy that is destined to happen still happen if a key component of that prophecy is removed? This is Deltarune. This is the survey program. A process to view a world where a prophecy that shouldn't be able to happen finds a way to happen.
Yeah, true.
With Des missing, the Dreamers and Holidays would end up discovering more relating to the Dark Worlds and discovering that Des is in one of them. As a result, Rudy would take up the role of the Roaring Knight, opening dark fountains in a desperate attempt to find his daughter. As a result, he would end up stuck in hospital, his condition growing worse the more he soldiers on for his quest. It's here where the characters realize they have to recreate the prophecy in order to save Des, a prophecy that risks the end of the world. This is the incident where Toriel would leave, believing that risking the end of the world is not something that should be done just to save one person, but for everyone else, knowing they could save Des was enough to keep going. This is when a mysterious figure would show up and tell them the steps needed to save Des, and how to set the prophecy into motion. To create a fountain of pure darkness, one would need a body without a soul, something only a human is capable of. Chris removed their soul and their headband in order to create the fountain of pure darkness, creating Rouse, the third hero in the process, a being who also knows the prophecy. Chris's swords return and the events of Deltarune unfold as they do normally. The whole objective of the knight and those working alongside them is to find Des, and that involves making the prophecy almost come true. And well, while that does solve why Des is missing, having been taken to allow for this experiment to take place, my explanation for the events that take place have probably frustrated some of you.
Yeah.
A mysterious person just coming along and giving everyone the answers is pretty boring for a story. But in the context of Deltarune, and in the context of the survey program, this all makes sense. Typer 666 himself, the mystery man from the start of Deltarune, W.D. Gaster himself. He is the one who took Des away, and the one who aided the Dreamers and Holidays into putting the prophecy into motion. But then, why would he want to do this? Why would he also connect us to Chris and allow us to see the events of his experiment? Because he doesn't just want to see what happens. He wants to erase what is supposed to happen. He wants to replace the Deltarune with his Deltarune.
I guess that makes sense.
Wow, that was a pretty intense video to me.
Yeah, it was.
Seriously, thank you so much for watching.
I
thank you
know.
so much for the support on the channel recently.
How stupid.
Having passed the 1,000 subscribers already is honestly really fun to make, and I hope you enjoyed it. Well,
I don't know. I mean, I believe that that's I don't know about being a second hero. I don't know. That was like confusing. That was like confusing, silly, like for real. I think I them, but I still from a feel that I gets through. What's your context? Pop see it. But what time is this actually? It's not tough for win. Okay. It's one because of stream here a little bit and yeah. So let's see, because before chapter 4, people thought that sounds less from Undertale, but see what this person says. And that'll do it for the stream. This will probably last out. Right, there we go.
Release of Delving the Dots. What's Hansa's origin story?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, 10 times. Yeah. Deltarune? Oh, I know I moved the Sanford, Steve. I'm between these pieces right now. And I'm almost crying. Oh my. The full screen is gonna walk. I like tips because that basically means that Deltarune game before Undertale. Undertale came after Deltarune. So however Deltarune ends, it's gonna lead into Undertale. So, okay. I want to actually now theorize on the ending of Deltarune, and I'm gonna go off to say for a minute, but if this is true, then that basically means that Undertale came after Deltarune. So, my guess is, you know that Bunko? My guess is, which I really didn't want to say this, and this is a theory that I was dead. I went behind the Bunko stores is the Undertale ward. But the thing is that we're all playing as Chris and Deltarune. We're playing as a separate different character, Frisk. But if Undertale no. Sorry about that. But that's the thing though. What happens to Chris? Does Chris just have die? No. Because that means I'm playing as this whole separate different character. Apart from, and this is like, and I to go into a different thing, Chris is Kara. And like, I've had a theory. I even did a whole game code video right now myself times getting the game recorder saying my guess is that Deltarune was a continuation of the Undertale's genocide route. But what is that remember the mission that I just with Tina say that go back to the surface and put him Esau. So that's very good point. He is from Deltarune. But that basically forces that can't be the truth because Deltarune would have already had been a thing that was created. Because my thought was that Deltarune came after Undertale, but Deltarune came before Undertale. Undertale came after Deltarune. The opposite of what I was thinking. But then why? So that basically means Chris can't be Kara. But maybe they can, because remember, there was a human that fell down into the underworld and Undertale, because Asriel satisfied tells us this, in the Tensai route, was Kara. And she became really sick, and she had to, had to travel back to the human, and that's when the humans killing the Asriel, because the monster being in the human world wasn't good. I was gonna base off my memory if I can't remember. But we know we haven't seen Asriel in this game yet. But wait a minute. No. but no, I was just saying that. Undertale came after. If that's the case, are we? Oh, I just saw something. What if this game is the flashbacks? If you want to talk about that, this is that one flashback. Now the one when actually like at the end of the now to the pacifist route of Undertale, see that master picks up the human and takes back to their house, but what if this game is basically what But I was telling us in the Tennessee wow. So, but that basically means that my guess was ended at the ending of this game is going to be Astral dying and the human dying because, no, because, oh my, I'm going to continue this in just a minute, but my head's like spinning right now, like, because if this is true, again, that means because if Sans is about one compared to Deltarune, then that means that Undertale came after Deltarune. But for that to happen, man, a lot of stuff like how did Astrid get turned into a freaking flower, man? And why aren't we playing as Chris? That's like the two freaking things that get me right now. Like, how did Astrid turn into a flower when he was supposed to be like college, university? And why are playing like a whole separate different character and not as Chris? Because if I tell you to come after, shouldn't we still be playing the same character, Chris? So something has to happen to Chris. Like all the other freaking characters like Susie. What's that? What character Undertale that misses Susie? They said that like their neighbor's like daughter, I think. And then it's a Swiss first of the game and Wonderful. But it's all kind of misses Susie. Nobody misses Noel. Nobody misses what it says. What's interesting? No misses like Lancer. Looking if I say any of the dog was Lancer, the Queen, the Chaos King, Tina, what type for the tours, anything like that. But why? I don't know. That's all I'm saying for now. Because I can tell my those. I would be able to talk about this way more if I'd have realities. But I'm trying to say. Alright, let's go ahead and continue this.
Real time when he hasn't lost anything yet. Therefore, that night doesn't carry the emotional weight that it does in Undertale, which is why the motif is missing in the place where it reigned. One other detail I wanted to mention is the flow of the conversation. Notice how it naturally leads into discussing Toriel and the promise he made her, because he's thinking about the night he spent with the Deltarune version of her. A closer look at the night in question gives us even more details about Sans' history.
Okay. Oh my god.
This scene caused a lot of controversy because fans felt that Sans was acting out of character. He's shamelessly dancing with a drunken Toriel in front of Chris and Susie despite them expressing discomfort. Even after Toriel recognizes something was off with Susie,
that means I forgot to Chris Susie. So we go back. He doesn't miss his Susie. He never says to say like a girl was there, like a purple like figure was there. So nothing about no human being there. Says nothing about that. It says that I don't know.
Sans quickly brushes it off and turns the music back on. So was this really a break from his character? Personally, I don't think so. While Sans is a laziness. He's aware of the endless game reset.
Yeah, I was scared because all that again. But I forgot all about Papyrus. We haven't seen Papyrus in this game yet. I hope we see Papyrus in Chapter 5. Ever since we don't see Papyrus in this game at all. That's weird because Papyrus is in Earth and Papyrus is Bristle. But what if Papyrus because remember, he's been teasing ever since Taiwan that he asked if we could come up with his Bristle. But we haven't seen Papyrus. The only clue we have that Papyrus in the game is that we're not gonna do it say Taiwan, so that this is Trustle Bone School. Papyrus name is called Bone Trustle. So there. But I always have an alternative theory that Liasso is Sansa's brother because Sansa and Lasso look a lot alike. This is why, one go over and play with him, but then that thing got buzzing for me when freaking Rossi said that Lasso is a freaking Lionel. And we've seen that before. It's when we went to a pocket, he told to a wolf actually forget how to bad got. Talk please. I forgot what last one was into when we go back to the library on chapter 2. There's some kind of playing card, I think. I think it does. It basically plus my theory that was freaking National's Sansa's freaking puzzle. So that means that Sansa does have to be Papyrus. It's only missing that quick, so y'all don't get mad for forgetting about Papyrus.
The player puts everyone through, and he already lost all hope of escaping back to Deltarune. You can feel that pain the most during the true pacifist battle against Azriel. When Frisk reaches out to Sansa's soul, he responds with, "Just give up. Why even try? You'll never see him again." Unlike the other characters, this text doesn't use Sansa's dialogue sounds, nor does it use a standard font like Papyrus. It's just pure grief, expressed visually through the floating letters. So he doesn't really see a point in actively involving himself in Undertale's affairs because, in his own words, it's just going to be reset. But in Deltarune, Sans does actively involve himself because he hasn't lost anything yet. He still has motivations and ambitions. Now yes, in Undertale, he's very popular at Grillby's, and the regulars love his non-stop appearances. But there's a key difference in tone. He's settling. He still goes out, but it's like he's clinging to a routine because it's all he has left. One monster even tells us that despite his vast knowledge of food, he always ends up ordering the same burger, likely out of comfort. In Deltarune, however, we see a version of Sans that's building a life for himself with actual passion, whether it's cracking jokes with Toriel or running a grocery store. So I don't think it's fair to say that he's acting out of character here because this Sans is still new to us.
Yeah.
For all we know, Sans just simply used to be a more selfish person, prioritizing his own amusement despite how others might feel. There's really not much else to support this claim, but if we are to believe Sans is from Deltarune, we're seeing an earlier version of his life here, an emotional predecessor to the one we met in Undertale, and not a literal parallel counterpart like Asgore, for instance. So in Undertale, we interact with the Sans that already changed, who's taken what's given to him in the underground, the same advice he gives to Frisk. But that's just one way to look at it. Let's rewind and take a look at a second interpretation.
What?
What if Sans already had an idea that Toriel was in danger?
Huh?
We know that, for whatever reason, the Knight wants Toriel.
Oh, yeah.
And Toriel was supposed to be at the church for choir practice that day, where the Knight opened the Dark Fountain. But thanks to the storm, and how fun Mr. Sans was, she cancelled choir practice and got drunk with him instead. It's possible that Sans brought Toriel back home because he knew she would be safe and distracted there with him, instead of wondering where Chris and Susie are on a stormy night. But how would Sans have obtained this insider knowledge? Through his long-known connection to W.D. Gaster, who's largely believed to be pulling the strings behind the Deltarune universe itself. Which, by the way, while we're on the topic of W.D. Gaster, I did actually do a separate video
Okay,
on
I'll
him, so
probably
if
see
you want
that
to
next.
show me just a little bit of support, I would very much so
Seriously,
appreciate it
I'll
if you watch that video as well. Thank you very much.
one.
Starting with the basics, Sans and Gaster are both skeletons whose dialogue are written in unique fonts. Gaster was the first royal scientist, while Sans is heavily implied to be a quantum physicist, based on the books in his house,
Yep.
his secret workshop, and the inexplicable nature of his bedroom. Papyrus gives us even more insight into this. If you call him while standing in Dr. Alfie's lab, he says, "A lab? My brother would love that. He loves science fiction, especially when it's real." And have you ever noticed how the door to Sansa's bedroom shares the exact same sprite as the warp doors in each of Deltarune's Dark Worlds? Toby Fox isn't just reusing assets, he's making a connection. But the similarities don't stop there. When you first enter Sansa's room, darkness, eerily similar to the void that appears when Chris and Susie first enter the supply closet in Deltarune. Eventually, Papyrus turns on the light, revealing that you were just walking on a treadmill the whole time. But here's the kicker. He casually asks if Sans pranked you across time and space, because apparently he does that. So it seems like someone's been experimenting with Dark Worlds. You know who else has a history of messing with Dark Worlds? Gaster, as evident in entry number 17. Dark. Darker yet darker. The darkness keeps growing. The shadows cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? We can assume Sans was one of the people involved with these Dark World experiments, and if these connections to Gaster still aren't enough to convince you, we have this little weapon that Sans wields in his boss fight. The name of it is never mentioned in game, but it's called a Gaster Blaster in Undertale's files. So for someone with a history of Dark World shenanigans and a relationship to the big man behind the scenes, is it really that much of a stretch to believe Sans knows what's really going on in Deltarune? Not just having the knowledge to protect Toriel, but maybe even a full understanding of the prophecy, which tells of a world-ending event if too many dark fountains exist at one time. So here Sans is, posing as a humble shopkeeper, all the while living under constant threat of the apocalypse. Not to mention, there's also Papyrus to consider. In Undertale, we know Sans is fiercely protective of his brother, even feeding into Papyrus's childlike worldview. He doesn't just read him bedtime stories, he nudges people to play along with his puzzles and even praises them for lying to make him feel good, whether it's about his spaghetti or even which word game is harder. And if you play the genocide route, Sans outright threatens you right before you battle Papyrus. It's almost like he's sheltering him mentally. So in Deltarune, maybe Sans is sheltering him physically at home. Not only would this explain why Papyrus is so naive with a thirst for social validation, but it would also protect him while Sans plans out their escape before Doomsday. That escape plan being the broken machine we find in his workshop. We can assume he built this so that he and Papyrus can switch universes before the Roaring takes place. Toby tweeted about this machine in 2015. You've seen all the happiest outcomes. Neither of them could fix the machine, no matter how hard they tried. No one can. This is why Sans can't go home, why he accepted never seeing them again. This could also explain why he takes Toriel's promise so seriously and why he watches over Frisk. He never learned the fate of Deltarune Toriel, and maybe he feels guilty that he can't go back and save her, so this is his way of honoring her legacy. All of this suggests that we're not just seeing a familiar character in a new story, we've been seeing his story unfold in reverse the whole time. But let's stop for a second and recap, because that was a decade's worth of information we just went through.
Oh, here we go.
In Deltarune, Sans is a shopkeeper by day, scientist by night, having been involved with Dark World experimentation and whatever other weird things Gaster is into. Either out of selfishness or care, he ultimately protects Toriel from the night during Chapter 4. But his knowledge of how dangerous the Deltarune universe is ultimately motivates him to build a machine capable of traveling across space and time. So during some unseen event, one that likely takes place later on or after Deltarune, Sans and Papyrus jump ship over to Undertale, where the machine fell into disrepair, and with it, any chance of going back. Burdened by his harsh reality, Sans regresses into a cycle of apathy, with his only motivations being to watch over Papyrus and to honor a friend he lost in a different life. Sounds simple enough, right? That's more or less the broader story we're able to piece together with the information we have. But there's still even more clues that indicate Sans is quite literally at.
There's no clues, of course.
The first few hints can be found in Sans's workshop. Notably, the music playing is a distorted and really melancholic version of It's Raining Somewhere Else, a symbolic representation of the broken dream Sans has to return to Deltarune.
Tell us basically for this song.
Now, outside of the broken machine we already discussed, there's a lot of neat little possessions to look at. What stands out the most is a poorly drawn picture of 3 smiling people. Written on it, "Don't forget." It's speculated that these 3 people are Chris, Susie, and Rousey, who may become closer to Sans in future Deltarune chapters, and, of course, "Don't Forget" has served as the main theme of Deltarune since Chapter 1. But what's most interesting is that this specific message will only appear if the player has a fun value between 80 and 89, in which case they would meet Clam Girl, who talks about her neighbor's daughter Susie.
Yep.
If the player did not meet Clam Girl, they would instead find a photo album of people that Frisk doesn't recognize alongside Sans, who looks happy. These people are likely Deltarune inhabitants that don't have a direct counterpart in Undertale. Lastly, there's a set of blueprints for the broken machine that Frisk can't read the symbols on, or perhaps the handwriting is too illegible. This hints at Gaster, of course, who literally speaks in symbols, but also Dr. Alphys, who we know has bad handwriting. Maybe Alphys was the other person Gaster referenced in entry number 17, and the other person Toby referenced in his tweet. It kind of makes me think Sans explained the situation to the Undertale version of Alphys, and neither of them could get the machine running again. They were secretly friends after all, to the point that Papyrus was shocked that they even knew each other. If you call Papyrus a second time in Alphys' lab, he'll remember seeing the bag of dog food in Sans' room, implying that he's been sending them to feed the amalgamate experiments. It looks like Sans and Alphys trusted each other with their darkest secrets.
Those are people.
Outside of Sans' lab, the Snowden shopkeeper also shares very suspicious information about them. She says if you're bored, you can sit outside and watch those wacky skeletons do their thing. There's 2 of them, brothers I think. They just showed up one day and asserted themselves. Based on what we know, this is literally true.
Yeah. I see Warsaw's. Huh?
When it's Sans' turn to give Frisk a puzzle, he gives them an Icy branded word search. Icy is not referenced anywhere else in Undertale. In Deltarune, however, Icy is a very well-known brand, complete with a pizzeria right in hometown. So it's likely that word search was a relic Sans brought over from the Deltarune universe.
Papyrus a few, huh?
There was also a blog interview hosted by Toby, where Papyrus starts to describe his life before Snowden, mentioning green and grass, before Sans interrupts and abruptly ends the interview. The obvious takeaway is that Sans doesn't want people learning where they came from, but this could also be another example of him mentally sheltering his brother from the truth.
Your baby.
In Deltarune Chapter 4, we actually see Sans teleport, jumping from the front of his shop to the screen above. At first, I thought it was just a visual gag, until I remembered how often Sans loved popping up out of nowhere in Undertale. not to mention those shortcuts he took Frisk on. Now, most Deltarune characters keep their Undertale personalities, but not their abilities. Asgore still gardens and plants for Toriel, but we haven't seen him use his trident or fire magic. The one clear exception is Undyne, who uses her spears, but only in a dark world, where everyday items transform into fantastical weapons. Sans, on the other hand, he's teleporting in the light world, the real world, just like he does in Undertale. Why would he be the exception? Unless this isn't just an alternate version of Sans, but the very same one.
Months of blood. Oh, I guess he bleeds.
Lastly, at the end of Chapter 4,
wow.
we see Susie bleed after she shatters the final prophecy. Susie originates from the Deltarune universe. The only other monster we've ever explicitly seen bleed is Sans at the end of the
That makes a lot of sense.
But I think it's pretty intentional that Sans is the only other monster we've ever seen bleed, hinting at his true origins all along.
Jeez, finally, on the screen.
It's absolutely incredible how Toby slowly revealed Sans' backstory right under our noses this past decade, and with the new information from the Undertale universe. However, there's still many questions that we'll hopefully get answers to in future chapters. What's Papyrus up to, and why does it seem like he can't remember his past life in Undertale? What's the nature of Sans' relationship to Gaster? Why did Sans become a judge of character? Why doesn't Papyrus know what the sun looks like? And who are the 3 people drawn in Sans' lab? While we wait on the rest of the missing pieces to assemble a complete puzzle, the most we can do is hope that he takes what he can get with Papyrus and Undertale's true pacifist ending. Let me know what you think the future holds for Sans and Papyrus as Deltarune continues to unfold. That being said, have a good one.
That this microphone that he is from Undertale because that makes it especially so again Deltarune Undertale becomes after Deltarune, so yeah. But that's like reading this. So far I see the first one, I forgot the first one was why that's we're missing. I said, but this one I'm 100% agree with, and especially like the monster blood, like it was only a person see bleed, I saw Susie bleed and Chapter 4, so Sans bleed, this time I from Undertale, so yeah. I think that's Sans mostly from Deltarune, so yeah. Anyways, y'all, that's gonna be where I wrap this up. Because I'm going to stream here a little bit. So, Saturday, or maybe, Saturdays should be when next week we have some more Death with Fan Animations, second be file. Got some more file on fan animations. And, I know I haven't done that Game on Street of Death Festival yet. I'm still waiting. Did I put in release part 2 yet? Because that's what I'm waiting for I put to release part 2. Let me see. Okay, going. Nope, 3. Oh, death. That's only Game on 3 thing I have left to react to. Oh, he didn't release part 2. Okay, I'm gonna actually get those saved to my Watch Later playlist. That video thing will come probably tomorrow. Let me think. Yeah, either tomorrow or Sunday or Monday. That way to all the King on Street Dance video will come. So yeah, finally, it takes me for that forever, man. It came out 3 weeks ago. So geez, wait. Anyways, for the opportunity, and I forget to subscribe, and so I'll see y'all for that King on Street Dance video tomorrow or Sunday. But for the next stream for the family, so see y'all Saturday. So, gamers, and until go for next stream. Saturday. Deuces, remember? To stay determined. I'm gonna go as a voice actor for next stream. This is gonna be here until 16 minutes, so I'm not much time as a voice, which sucks. Oh, freaking allergies. I catch you later. Bye. Well, this is really good. The first one wasn't, but the second one was fire.